Another beautiful Monday in the Federation of St Kitts and Nevis. It's March 22nd. As we welcome you to another episode of Voices, you are locked on to WINN FM 98.9. My name is Socrates, host of today's program, as I bid top of the morning to our listeners and viewers on the various platforms. Unfortunately, my co-host, Miss Margaret Stevens, is not with us today. Apologies for that. However, in the studio with us is none other than frequent visitor and social commentator Ras Kalonji. While he gets himself together, I'm going to send shout out to the road bus drivers, taxi drivers, healthcare providers, police and other security personnel, sanitation workers, not forgetting our parliamentarians, educators, and of course, special good morning to our esteemed Governor General, Sir Tapley Seaton, and all the folks that they are assisting him. Mr. Coyote Sutton, Major Coyote Sutton, good morning to you, sir. I'm not quite sure what the topic is today. I think Ras Kalonji, we're talking about bush medicine to some extent. We'll get into that shortly when he sort himself out. But over the weekend, I was at last week Thursday, I attended a meeting hosted by, I would say, the Carnival Committee at Warners Park Players Pavilion. They invited the Carnival stakeholders, as we were referred to, and they put on a presentation making an appeal to all the folks involved in Carnival to get with the program to get vaccinated. I think they said their target date to be able to make a presentation to the government as to whether or not we can host a proper carnival will be around June. So the need to have the numbers by then to be able to say whether or not we're going to have a repeat of last year's virtual carnival or go back to the standard format. There was our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hazel Laws, there to field questions and to give assurance to those who were there. One of the questions she fielded was to whether or not we can host a function with only persons who would have been vaccinated. And she said that sounds like a good idea. That's like a bubble. You create a bubble to host an event. The question put was functions there, you're limited for about 100 persons for indoor venues and about 150 for outdoor venues. So the person asked, what if we had about 3 persons who were already vaccinated? Can we have a function for those folks? And it was met with great enthusiasm. And lo and behold, I saw on Facebook there's a vaccinated boat ride. Well, to paraphrase, it's a boat ride for only folks who would have been vaccinated. So I think that's quite an incentive for the event organizers, and I think it's the way to go. But anyway, we're going to hear what Ras Kalonji wants to say this morning. He's here with us, and I want to thank him for stepping up and being with us in the studio one more time. Morning, Ras. Welcome to the studios of WINN FM.
Yes, greetings, my brother. Blessed love to all the Africans, the 200 million of us here in the Western world, and those listening via the internet in the diaspora and the continent. I'd just like to give a big shout out to Africans in particular and oppressed people in general, globally. This today, Brother Socrates, the whole thing about the coronavirus and who should be vaccinated and the whole question around vaccination. This morning we want to present some information. Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical.
Okay, here's what. Let's get this thing clear up front, okay? I am not going to be an influencer in any way to suggest to people or persons whether they should get vaccinated or not. And I don't want this program or management or the directors to get the impression that we're here to speak to anybody against getting vaccinated. Right? There are pros and cons, and I think it's a personal choice. So once we're not getting into an anti-vaccination posture, that's great. You can present your information, but you don't want to set the tone that WINN FM, this program, or the management is encouraging any kind of dialogue where people are told not to vaccinate.
Not a problem. All we do is presenting information.
Okay, beautiful.
All we're saying basically, the pharmaceutical and medical industrial complex and fascism, basically, versus natural healing.
Okay.
So what we're saying that we're presenting another view, so people could make a choice.
Alternative where you can boost your immune system?
Exactly.
Like okay, beautiful.
We're offering a natural way in terms of dealing with any problems you have, any sickness, any virus, any complications that you have.
Okay, but you're not saying to people, don't.
No, we're just informing the public.
Okay, beautiful.
Basically, we are not anti anything. Everybody got a choice to make. We're just presenting real information.
Beautiful.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's basically how it is. But I'd just like to start out, basically, with the whole question of eugenics. What is the meaning of eugenics? Eugenics, coming to being, growing, is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior or promoting those judged to be superior. The concept predates the term Plato suggested applying the principle of selective breeding to humans around 400 BC. Early advocates of eugenics in the 19th century regarded it as a way of improving groups of people. In contemporary usage, the term eugenics is closely associated with scientific racism and white supremacy. Now, I laid the groundwork to show you basically that we're going to play some clips to show you that the whole question of the vaccination for COVID-19 is all about making money. And then we're going to show you the alternative where you could use natural remedies in order to deal with it. And we're going to present a tape by Dr. Sebi to show you that all of the ailments and diseases that he have cured, from AIDS to diabetes to high blood pressure, herpes. So, my brother, I want you to play the tape by Professor Richard Wolff.
Did we play a tape by him on the last time he was on?
Yeah. Companies want to make money off the vaccination process.
Welcome, everyone, to another Global Capitalism Live Economic Update, a bi-monthly lecture series presented by Democracy at Work and designed to talk about the kinds of changes, the important events, the trends in the larger economy we all live in. It's brought to you by Democracy at Work, and it is co-sponsored by the Left Forum and the Judson Memorial Church. Before the pandemic, we would meet in the Judson Memorial Church, and our hope is one day when this pandemic is behind us to resume. It is a fundraising event, this lecture is, for Democracy at Work. We urge those of you watching, and particularly those of you that have not donated in the past, to consider helping to support these reports to you every other month. And doing that is really relatively easy. You can make a one-time donation on our website or become a monthly donor on Patreon. Direct links to both of those options can be found on the video description below. A special note of gratitude and appreciation to our Patreon community, because this March marks the second anniversary of our presence on the Patreon platform. The generous support we receive every month from the Patreon community is of enormous importance and support for everything that we do. And it is happy opportunity for us to acknowledge that support. Our new book, The sickness is the system. When capitalism fails to save us from pandemics or itself, is now available as an ebook. Easy to get. Just go to our website, democracyatwork.info/books. It's a compilation of essays that aims to explain how and why capitalism is the sickness underlying all the symptoms we're living with. Finally, please be sure to like this video by clicking on the red subscribe button below. Thank you for your support, and as always these days, stay safe and stay healthy. Okay, as usual, I want to begin with 3 or 4 short items. Things that are important that have happened in the last couple of months since last we got together. And then turn to the big question for this evening, which has to do really with the lessons that we have learned, hopefully by now, about COVID and everything that COVID represents. The first of the short items for today has to do with the appeal in recent days from the head of the World Health Organization. He has asked the world, and I mean the word appeal literally, he has asked the world to suspend a kind of special capitalist privilege that businesses have been able to get into the law around the world. The privilege is called sometimes a patent, sometimes a copyright, sometimes a trademark. It applies in this case to the vaccines that are now available, have been figured out over the last 6 to 12 months to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. And let's remember, in case anyone is not aware, that this is the worst public health crisis in at least a century in terms of its impact on the globe. The illness, the death, the dislocation, all of it. We now have vaccines, and there's some reason to believe they are effective. But the vaccines, the formula, the way of producing them has been patented, which means under the law that any producer of vaccines around the world who wishes to produce them for his or her population is required by international patent law to obtain the permission from those who hold the patents to be able to produce them. And those who hold the patent do so because they can refuse that permission unless money is paid to them that they demand for providing the permission. And what the head of the World Health Organization is appealing for is the following. In many countries of the world, for example, most of those in Africa, but in many other places too, nobody's been vaccinated yet because local producers do not want to pay, cannot pay what it costs to get access to those patented formula for the vaccine. The vaccine producing companies give their usual large pharma excuse. We have to make lots of money from whatever we produce. Otherwise, there's no incentive for us to produce it. How interesting. Saving lives doesn't count much as an incentive. Having the government step in and mandate it doesn't seem to be an option. So the World Health Organization fellow, in his appeal, really is appealing on the basis of this was never invented, the patent, to make people sick and die rather than share knowledge that could save lives. Even if patents for other things were maintained, and there's a big debate about whether that's reasonable too, but even if you left the rest, We clearly have a national planetary emergency here. And there's something profound in a global capitalist system that is protecting the profits of a small number of companies around the world, particularly American, at the price of death and illness all over the world, even though the facilities, which the World Health Organization leader tells us, the facilities to produce the vaccine are sitting there. In many cases, factories fully equipped, doing nothing because they cannot access those patents, costing people sickness and death every single day. One last horror beyond this that I've already told you. The vaccines produced by Moderna, by Pfizer, by Johnson & Johnson and the other participants were in many cases subsidized. Billions of your money, your taxpayer money, was shoveled to these companies, removing the profit risk they might be taking by producing a vaccine, by doing the research for a vaccine. So they've already been helped. Their profits have already been juiced, but they still want to hold on to that patent. Think about it. If ever there were a case of capitalism versus the needs of this planet's people, we are staring it right in the face right now. My second short item is about a friend of mine. And also...
Okay, looking at the clock, we're going to have to pause. What about now to give credit to our sponsors? When we get back with the, to give us your overview of the clip that you just played. So, word from our sponsors, we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
Once again, we want to say good morning to our many listeners and viewers. In case you're just joining us, you're listening to Voices. My name is Socrates, host of today's program. And in studio with us today we have Ras Kalonji. And you may have missed the clip that he played from. Is it Dr. Wolf?
Dr. Professor Wolf.
Dr. Professor Wolf. Okay, you want to give us an overview on what the doctor was trying to say?
Before going further, I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of Bonnie Whaler.
Okay.
You know, tree had cut me off and really lose my
Train of thought.
Yeah, and President Magufuli of Tanzania has transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want to acknowledge that. And there's some new information coming out about the assassination of Brother Malcolm X. So we just wanted to highlight those things to inform our people. But get back to what Professor Wolf was saying. He was just acknowledging basically that in this capitalist system that we live in globally, is that even though they're saying that people should vaccinate, that certain companies have the pattern to the vaccination. So the need for it, if a country, say, needs some vaccination and they have the ability to produce it, they cannot produce it because of the pattern. And that's basically what he's saying. So what he's saying basically is that these companies have a lock on the vaccination that they say should be there to stop people from dying. So that was the purpose of that clip, to show you, even though they're saying that the vaccination is necessary, it's the cost of it and the people who have the pattern to control it in order to make money.
Which is basic capitalism.
Good. But
that's norm.
Good, but what I'm saying, there's a pandemic. Or people will say a pandemic then. So what he's saying and what I am saying is that if the vaccination, there's a need for the vaccination because people are dying. If they say the vaccination is going to cure people. So what he's saying that the World Health Organization or the leader of the World Health Organization is making an appeal. You understand?
To the companies?
To the companies to cease to deal with the pattern where that other people could have access to the vaccination if they say it's a cure.
Okay, what about the companies that have been seeking rapid release authorization and given to the governments around the world?
They're not giving
because okay, I understand our government would have paid
exactly
X amount for it. So whether they're locking it or keeping it, they are releasing, whatever the costs, mainly subsidized by some governments, but the vaccine is being distributed.
No, but the point Professor Wolf is making is that the companies who have control of the pattern is not waiving the pattern in order to give people access to the vaccine. That is the point he's making, because of how the system is set.
Okay, we know it's wait a second, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. That's biblical.
Okay,
we accept that.
Good, but what he's saying, based on the situation, right? They're making an appeal to the companies.
CDC?
Not the CDC, the companies who produce the vaccine. You understand? To waive the pattern for a while so people could get more access to the vaccine. But the point is that it's all about making money.
We know that.
Good. So what I'm saying, if you have a pandemic like this, a world pandemic, why use money? Why use it in order to make money when you want to say that you're saving people's life? That is the point.
Well, we accept that. That's a good argument to make. But the fact is, these companies are private companies that invest with a profit margin in line.
They didn't invest. The money was given from taxpayers' money.
Okay, we accept that.
He made that point.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah, you see, so what I'm trying to show you now, basically, that the whole system is set. If they say that the vaccine is to save lives, but it's a global pandemic, and then they got this pattern that the only how you could use their vaccines to save life, right, you have to pay them money for it.
Okay. But you're here to speak to an alternate measure.
Yes,
method. Okay?
But I want to play one more clip before we get into that, and Dr. Sebi to show you that there's a natural way in terms of dealing with viruses
Okay,
and
let's stop the
and
engineering
treatment.
cue up because
So my
of the
brother,
clock.
play the other cue. It ain't gonna be long.
Left. Okay, so let's deal with this, because there might be some folks out there that are looking in here and they're saying, well, how did you learn to do these things? One, and I would say, and I think we have something that we'll end up showing on the screen here, regarding in 1979, I think it was, you were charged in New York City with practicing medicine without a license. You were ultimately charged, indicted, and taken before the New York Supreme Court. And I would advise my viewers who might be questioning your authenticity that you won that case. Now, so the charge was practicing medicine without a license and claiming that you had a remedy to cure AIDS, cancer, and diabetes. So the question is, how did you win that case against what some people say are the toughest prosecutors in the land?
Well, it was 1987.
87, not 79,
The
87.
10th of February.
Okay.
My mother knew they were coming. When I told my mama that I had cured my 13 AIDS patient, she said, "They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you."
So let me stop you there. You said I cured my 13 AIDS patients.
Yeah.
So you had 13 patients
Yeah.
who had AIDS.
Yeah.
And then you say
were cured.
you cured them.
Sure.
Keep talking.
So my mother said, "They're gonna get you." I said, "But Mom, why are they gonna get me?" Because you must remember that you live in a society that support a certain philosophy and a certain system. You being the color that you are, black, and then you're going against the grain, they're gonna get you. So when I'm in my office on February the 10th, here come the detectives. You are charged with practicing medicine without a license, selling product not approved by the FDA, and claiming to cure AIDS and other diseases. I said, yes. Well, you are making a fraudulent claim. I asked the detective, how do you know that?
Because you were advertising in newspapers.
Of course. I advertised in the Village Voice, the Amsterdam News, and the New York Post.
And you were telling people through your advertising that you can cure
AIDS, sickle cell, lupus, herpes, blindness, diabetes, paralysis, and others.
Okay, so they come knocking on the door and
So knocked on my door and took me to jail. But the funny thing about it, I was happy. I was very, very, extremely happy. When everybody in my office was crying, I was happy because my mama told me they were coming. And I knew that I had sufficient evidence to prove my position. Not only scientifically, empirically, historically, and whatever way they would desire. So while I was in jail, I'm saying, I wonder what defense they would have against me.
Yeah.
I would like to know. But I didn't blame the Attorney General, Mr. Robert Abrams, because why should he accept from me the statement that I cure AIDS and sickle cell and blindness when no one else has ever made those claims? The man had a right to arrest me, but he was making a mistake. So I'm sitting in jail, and I'm happy. When I got out of jail and when I went in front of the judge, I asked 3 questions.
And they were?
They were, Your Honor.
You defended yourself?
Of course I did.
Okay.
Your Honor, is it a fact that the Holy Bible teaches that the herbs are for the healing of the nations? She said, yes. Is it a fact that science shows that the human body is carbon-based, and to complement a carbon-based body, you must have a carbon-based substance to complement it, because the body only accepts the substance through the process of chemical affinity. Chemical affinity is important. It's an electrical transport. Chemical affinity.
Okay.
The body could only accept what it is made of, not something new or alien to it. Last question. Your Honor, is it a fact that the father of medicine, Mr. Hippocrates, the man that established the principle of medical science today, cured every disease known to man? Did he use herbs or chemicals? She said, herbs. I said, thank you very much. I rest my case.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I understood that the state were unprepared to defend itself. They were unprepared because in the past there was 2,781 cases that came before the Supreme Court and lost.
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
Not only did I prove scientifically, but I had the diagnostic sheets, and I do have them today. And those diagnostic sheets didn't come from me. They came from their school, their American medical accredited school.
Did I read it correctly where there was some requirement for you to actually bring patients, a patient into court from each of those maladies, and that you brought multiple patients in court who, one, testified themselves, and that you had medical records, one showing that they were victims of the disease, and then showing that it had been cured by one doctor, and then a second doctor verifying what the first doctor had said?
Yes. We have to remember this, that whenever you make a statement that goes against the grain, you better be prepared. You better be prepared. The judge said that I had to bring one of every patient that I had cured, and there was one that said others. The other was a man that came from Italy. He was paralyzed. But I was supposed to take 9. I took 77.
You took 77 patients in court with you?
That's correct. But I knew that my brain was not the same as your brain or any other brain, right? We're unique.
Yeah.
So when I make a statement, they're going to take my statement and pit it against philosophy. It doesn't fit. I represent an entity that isn't philosophical.
And that entity is?
Well, it's an African one. I'm an African. And we have to remember that. You see, we think that we could take a philosophy out of Europe or China and inculcate that into the African brain. It does not resonate. It cannot resonate. You cannot be yourself when you've been adulterated. Being that I am an African, I'm going to look at things the African way. And the African way seems to reduce things to the least common denominator. And guess what I found? That there's only one disease. Not 2, not 3, 1. When I opened my big black mouth and told the judge that, oh my God. What did you say? I said, Your Honor, there's only one disease.
And what is
Could
that?
you substantiate that?
Okay.
Of course, I'm not going to just deploy a bunch of empty words. I represent a country. I represent a people. I represent a race. And I represent myself. I'm not going to undermine myself. There's only one disease. The judge said, what is it? I said, you already know. She said, try me. It was a woman, Ann Thelman. I said, Your Honor, when someone has sinusitis, what is obstructing the nasal passage? She said, mucus. And when another has bronchitis, what is obstructing the bronchial tubes? She said, mucus. And when another has pneumonia, what's covering the cells of the lungs? She said, mucus. Dr. Victor Herbert, who is defending the state of New York, jumped up and said, what about AIDS? You and your one disease theory? I said, Your Honor, this doctor is saying that I believe in a theory. I am the last individual on earth that could believe in a theory. I do not lend myself to theories or philosophy. Either I know or I don't know.
Okay.
He's talking about theories.
Yeah. You talking about the real deal.
I'm talking about reality, not theories, not philosophy.
So please share with this.
So she said, and what about AIDS?
Yeah.
I said, well, he asked about what about AIDS? He want to know where the mucus. I said, Your Honor, have you been to an AIDS ward? She said, yes. I said, what is it that the AIDS spits up every 5 minutes? She said, mucus. Where is the mucus? It's in the skin, it's in the blood, and the lymphatic system that makes up the immunological system. That is where you find the mucus, Mr. Victor Herbert. How could you agree with, how can you disagree with truth? You see, what happened, I didn't go to school. I have never been to school. I have never attended any school, kindergarten, grade school, high school, or anything. But I had parents that kept me anchored to the African way, not to the Chinese way, not to the European way, not to the Japanese way. I am an African.
Were your patients all of color?
No, no. I have patients that are white. I have more white patients than I have black.
Okay, so this scourge that, has just run rampant, through the world, AIDS. Can you walk us through as much as you can a step-by-step process where you have a patient that has AIDS and you do XYZ or ABC, and then the patient no longer has AIDS? Can you walk us through that?
Of course. When the first patient was a brother in Boston named Michael White, and a sister, she's from D.C. Her name is, oh boy, I forgot her name right now.
Okay.
But she told me, she said, Dr. Sebi, my brother-in-law brother has AIDS in Boston. So what do you do? I said, well, I must send him the compound. The compound that I made were made to cleanse the cells. They come in the category of phosphates, carbonates, iodides, and bromides. Now we are entering the science of biochemistry. These are food and vitalizers. I remove from the man's diet lactose, uric acid, and carbonic acid, milk, starches, and meat. By removing these things from his diet and then cleansing his cells, he began to see recovery in 24 hours. And so it went. They kicked him out of the hospital 2 weeks later. Memorial Hospital in Boston, Dr. Bonanno.
Okay, we are going to have to go straight to a word from our sponsors. And then we get back, and then you can run your commentary. We'll open the lines for the public, but first, a word from our sponsors.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 WINN FM.
When they start them there, we are top man, we take charge. Acknowledging now we are shell down hard. Blast like a star in summer galapar. Overdo it, we take it too far. Take charge, take charge.
We are hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man them. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. Hot blend, back bend, and take charge, take charge.
Magnum tonic wine, the real star them. When the star them there, we a top man, we take charge. Magnum we drink and we a shell down ours. Blast like a star with some gallopar. Overdo it, we take it too far. Take charge, take charge.
We a hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man them. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. Hot blend, back bend, and take charge, take charge.
Magnum tonic wine, for the real star them. Take charge, take charge. Must be 18 or older, drink responsibly.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Once again, good morning. We got about 12 minutes up to, actually 40 minutes up to the midday hour before the midday newscast. Before we get back into the program, I want to say hi, hello, good morning to Chris Collins up there in Sheffield, UK. Brenda O'Neill in Maryland, USA. While in the US, let's say hi to DJ Barisha, New York Joe, Average from the Average Show. Not forgetting a friend over in Montserrat. And then there is Amber, Zara, and Cleo over there in Anguilla. These are some of our dedicated listeners who call in with, they text me little comments, etc., etc. And we have a comment from one of our local callers, Hazel. Straight to line caller, welcome to the program. Your first caller for the day. Welcome to Voices.
Yes, the King. Good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. And good morning to Ras Kalonji.
Yeah, blessed love,
Definitely.
my brother.
The King.
Sir.
Last week, Wednesday, was a very sad day for me when I learned of John Magufoli's passing in Tanzania.
Yes.
Now, I've noticed on social media that the Vice President of the U.S. congratulates the now President of Tanzania. And when I say notice, it was on social media. I didn't see it on CNN or BBC. She is now, Kamala Harris, congratulating the new President of Tanzania.
Yes.
Congratulating her and saying America is now ready to do business with Tanzania. Now, I always use the word interpretation. Everyone can interpret things in their own understanding, their own enlightenment. Now, I didn't hear the president, the Vice President, offer condolence to the now President of Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I missed it. Like I said, I've never seen this on CNN or on BBC. I saw it on Pan-African TV, and there she was congratulating the new president. Now, there's speculation surrounding Magufuli because, 3 weeks earlier, or you can say a month earlier, this man was so energetic, so full of life, and want to be alive. And today, he's dead. I look at him with all the energy that he has, doing so much good for his country, denouncing a $10 billion loan from the Chinese, and today he is dead. The King, we can go back as far as Patrice Lumumba, Palmer Sankara, Mohammed Gaddafi, and, in the diaspora in America, we know how this thing was played out on our people. There's a silent war. This is my opinion. There's a silent war that is taking place on our people, and we are asleep. We are so asleep, deep asleep. I mean, it's like all the strong leaders on the continent, in the diaspora, they always end up dying.
Aristide was a lucky one.
Sorry?
Aristide was a lucky one.
Yeah.
Still alive.
Well, you know, I sometimes look at Toussaint Louverture in Haiti. I mean, in the end, he was invited to France, and we know how he ended up.
Correct.
But it's like the strong leaders are dying while the weak ones end up being puppets. And we need to get over that. Now, I am sharing what I know on social media, and I'm offering ideas as how we can go forward. We need to strategize, and we also need to pay attention to those weak ones who are in our inner circles. I mean, looking at what has happened over the years, we have seen our people become weak by bribe, and these people are not looking for the people.
Let me ask you a question. I understand what you're saying clearly, but identify the we. When you say we have to strategize, identify the we for me, please.
We, black people, black race, everywhere, globally. We have to strategize, and there are platforms, because I'm sharing my ideas with people like, what's his name in the U.S., Dr. Umar Johnson. There is raddi.org. This is an African platform that you can share ideas, and I'm on board with this. So I'm doing what I can here, but we need to wake up. This is deep. This is deadly, and it is deep, and we need to be aware of what is happening. We can't just act like, well, you know, let us just accept it and say, well, you know, we can't change it. That's the way it is. I don't think so. 400 years of slavery had expired, and those people know our history too well, and they're playing it against us, and we're seeing history repeating itself. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Ras. I'm going to go back to his comment later on, but I want to give you a chance to speak to the issues that he brought to us today.
Yeah, well, basically, there you heard Dr. Sebi explaining all the diseases that he have cured. Now, when he won the case in New York City, the people who had AIDS and were cured, the government said that they didn't have any AIDS.
They didn't
you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got to be realistic.
Didn't he present a medical history of those particular persons?
But the medical history preceded him, preceded they interacting with him.
So he won the case, but they denied the evidence that he presented.
Yeah, but these same people were in the institution with AIDS, but then the government turned around and said that they didn't have any AIDS.
They denied the evidence that he presented.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to show is that it's the same thing involving all the time. Is that like I call this here, big pharma and the medical industrial complex, fascism, because like I said before, fascism is the open terroristic dictatorship of the most reactionary, most chauvinistic form of finance, capital, and imperialism. That's why I played the tip with Professor Wolf to show you that this thing is all about making money. No, we know the virus is real, don't get me wrong. But what we are saying, that we have to look at alternative ways in terms of dealing with these things. And not only that, I think this is a good time for us to start looking at things that for when the next virus comes, because more going to come, for we to start developing up our own way to get vaccines to deal with our people.
Have you heard of any system or anyone speaking about an alternate measure that has worked in relation to COVID-19?
Not at the moment, but based on the guidelines of Dr. Sebi, we could use some of those remedies in order, I think, to deal with the situation. Not only that, remember Dr. Sebi said that there is only one disease, and it is mucus. I have a product, before we go to the caller, slip M and Ho that could remove mucus from your body.
Okay. Let's take this caller. Caller, your 11 voices.
Very good day to you.
Good day. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm your panelist. Good day.
Blessed love.
Yes, I know mention was made of the vaccines and the patents and all of these pharmaceutical corporations and so on. And limiting the manufacture of these into, the hands of a specific few. And that is done apparently mainly for economic gains. I have a different twist or look to it. What if these viruses that are put out there are designed to be biological warheads?
Agents?
Right? Then it means, therefore, that if anything is to go onto the market that they're going to put out as a cure, they're the ones who will have to engineer it and manufacture it how they want to accomplish whatever objective. What if all of these vaccines have ulterior purposes? Now, you see why other countries that might have the hang of what is going on in terms of, let's say, a real virus, and they are able to combat this by making their own vaccine that can bring cure. Bring to mind Dr. Sebi. That can bring cure to people. Maybe the purpose is not for them to live or to be well. But maybe the purpose is for death. So that's why these other countries, they are going to be told that if you don't get that permission or that whatever to manufacture these vaccines, you can't do it. They cannot do it.
Trying to corner the market?
Sorry?
Is there an attempt to corner the market for certain major companies?
If there is a what?
Is that an attempt to corner the market?
I'm not hearing a word.
Are you saying that's basically to control the market so the revenue stream basically flow to the companies?
Okay, control it in one way, and it's going to look like it's for profit making. But I see it another way too. I see it another way. It's not just all about money, but you know how it was mentioned. I mean, making money when it comes to death. Death in so many ways, right? And this is what is going to happen. I had already postulated that. I said, and I could be wrong, I could be right. If there is an ulterior purpose for this vaccine, then other countries, and I think it's on this same station I mentioned it, other countries, their scientists will not be allowed to develop their own vaccine for their people. It's going to become illegal to them. Because if this was about saving mankind, they would allow everybody to do what they have to do, because then it would take the burden off of them in a way, right?
See your point.
So, you see. Anyway, I'll stay there.
Thank you for your contribution. We got about I got about a minute and 20 seconds before we can wrap up. So, go ahead, Ras.
And remember, the sister made a good point, and I believe that I think you have a double purpose. But anyhow, not only making money, but seeing the elimination of certain people. And remember what Dr. Sebi said, that the body is carbon-based, and synthetic material and natural material does not have an affinity
with a carbon-based body.
Exactly, because it's not natural. So what we are saying that the herbs are natural. We have all the herbs them here, brother Socrates could deal with this thing. But what I'm saying, I'm challenging our people now. You understand? To start look at our herbs that we have here, to come up with a solution to deal with these pandemics, not only this one, but those that are going to come in the future.
If it's all about boosting your immune system, the herbal remedies should do that. How many persons are versed in that? And do we have can you go to a homeopathic doctor or center to get that information?
Well, not at the moment, but what I'm saying, we have to start to put our ideas together in order to come up with somewhere, because what I'm saying, if you don't control something, it could be used against you. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And everything basically that we use comes from outside. We're
going to have to take it up after the midday news interlude. We're about 12 o'clock, and we have to pause at this moment for the midday newscast. So we'll be right back after. Thank you for listening. Thanks for callers. Thanks for your contributions. See you after the midday news.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Every home deserves a farmer, so the place to shop in the month of March is the TDC Home and Building Depots. Save 20% off all agro products in store. Why not grow your own? Get a starter kit with all that you need to start your very own garden. Join us on Saturday, 27th March for the Farmers Market to purchase your fresh produce direct from the farm to your table from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in both locations. TDC Home and Building Depots, celebrating farmers, supporting communities. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Feel the magic happening. Campari. Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Found the sound. 98.9. WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With the WIN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, World Water Day, the true value of water. Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown says COVID-19 restrictions could be lifted. Internationally, Syrian government forces have fired on a hospital in the rebel-held northwest, killing 6 civilians, including a child. Now, the details. Sunday, March 21st, the Federal Cabinet expressed appreciation to MSR Production for choosing St Kitts and Nevis to produce the movie 1 Year Off. At a press conference Sunday morning at the Christophe Harbour Marina on St Kitts, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris said the Federation is witnessing the birth of a new industry.
We are witnessing the birth of a new industry for the Federation of St Kitts and Nevis, one that will provide real jobs, high incomes, and real opportunities, especially for our young people involved in hospitality and the creative industries. At a mere 38, St Kitts and Nevis is still a very young country, with 65% of its population under 35. We are young numerically. We are young at heart and in spirit. It is opportunities like this from MSR Productions that will help our young people reach their full potential. I understand that in terms of contribution to the economy, that every 4 months you will be injecting about $1 million in our economy. But of course, this production will do much more than that. It will inject excitement amongst young people that they can have a career in the film industry and they don't have to leave our beautiful paradise to be part of the film industry. You have brought the film industry right here, and we thank you very much for that.
Tourism Minister Lindsay Grant, in brief remarks, recounted the country's past and then highlighted the present-day realities.
You will see a modern infrastructure behind our Caribbean of 50 years ago. A world-class airport capable of landing the largest jets from North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Our daily service by FedEx, our KN Jet luxury FBO service that services the private jet community. A paved road system surrounding the island and a cruise port that can simultaneously accommodate 2 of the largest ships in the world, 2 of the Oasis-class vessels. 3 of the world's top hotel brands are here, the Hyatt, the Marriott, and the Hilton. Both properties on the island, and we can see our marinas, which can accommodate and service vessels anywhere between 15 feet and 300 feet. As we move forward with our reopening, and eventually beyond the pandemic, we do so with confidence as one of the few places in the world recognized for their exemplary management of the COVID-19 virus.
MSR producer of the movie 1 Year Off, Mr. Felipe Martinez, told the gathering that his team was impressed by the work of the COVID-19 task force. He also described the young people of the Federation as the country's real infrastructure.
When I sat down with Mark Brantley and Timothy Harris and we talked about the industry is, we brought with us 50 crew members. I think we hired on top of that 45 local people. Now, my greatest joy so far, aside from, being in this beautiful country, is when I see that in the past few weeks, we have already trained a new generation of crew members. The other day, Mark came to visit us on the set, and Tushan, who's a local guy, is now an assistant director, and he was running the set. Locations is entirely people from here.
So what are the medium and long terms for filming in St. Kitts and Nevis?
So our plan is to make 6 movies. Actually, I believe that it has been already discuss with the government that this movie finished on Friday, and then on April 15, we're starting to produce a new movie with a gentleman who's right behind me. His name is Tom Payton, and he's going to direct a movie called Assailant. Did I say it right, Tom? I did, first time, which is a thriller. So, story comes, we're here, we're learning from the history, which is very important, about the culture. 1 Year Off is really a very beautiful, feel-good, poetic film. But once again, the long-term plan is over the next 6 films, train and set up an industry. And frankly, from what I see from the young guys that are working, young guys and young women that are working on the film, I think that in a year from now, we will be in more than a good shape. We only have one real problem. And that's something that I wanted to say that in front of the media, which is very challenging for a producer. Actors don't want to leave. They want to stay here.
In February this year, MSR Media, the production company filming 1 Year Off on the island of Nevis, issued a casting call to select Nevisians for various roles in the movie. The comedy film was then described as the first of a 2-movie production deal between MSR Media and the Nevis Island administration. If you are heading into the city or plan to drive in Bastille Monday, March 22nd, there are some traffic restrictions that you should be aware of. Traffic Officer Brown on Traffic Talk on WINN's weekday morning show Island Tea, hosted by Kevon Hanley, Azim Bailey, and Jade Johnson.
This morning, I just want to inform the general and motoring public also of a number of restrictions, traffic restrictions that's being put in place today. Persons traveling along the Cairn Street area in the vicinity of College Street would notice that the Public Works Department is doing some road works there. And as a result of this, certain restrictions had to be put in place to assist that area. The work that is being done is that the department the Public Works Department is what I'm being told is they're raising the road level to assist the traffic when the lights in that area is being commissioned. Persons we would realize that there are a number of low-profile vehicles, and normally when they're traveling, they have to slow down, turn, and proceed along.
What we call cut it.
Cut it, yes.
Right,
that's sound better, yeah. So if this work would not be done, these low-profile vehicles, when the lights are commissioned, would greatly reduce the free flowing of the traffic. So to minimize that, to cut out that, the department decided that they are going to raise the level, take out the railing that is in the road to assist with the flowing of the traffic. That railing is being taken out. So this work would be continued up until hopefully by the ending of this week. So the restrictions that are in place is that vehicles traveling west along Cairn Street from the Fort Thomas Road, from the
traveling west on Cairn Street,
yes,
you mean?
From 4th Street end, sorry.
4th Street,
yeah,
okay.
From 4th Street end. These vehicles are asked, they would have to take a left down Church Street, yes. And vehicles traveling eastwards, they are either to take a left up Market Street or a right down Market Street as well. So, the traffic in that area is not allowed. Also, on Central Street, there are no parking on either side of the road from the government government headquarters end right up to Gem Plumbing end. No vehicles are allowed to park on that road on either side. So we just want persons to be aware of this.
What is the update on the issues raised by the East Side Bus Terminal? Concerns about infrastructure and buses not falling in line but poaching passengers were raised in recent protest actions staged by members of the association. Monday, March 22nd, Traffic Officer Brown provided this update.
There's some restoration work that is being done at the East Bus Station. The East Bus Station, some work are being done there, but even though the work have been done there, the normal flowing of the buses that ply that area, the normal running of that bus station is not hampered. So persons are still allowed to venture into that terminal, the East Bus Terminal, and continue their normal running. So we just wanted to put that out there in radio land, so persons applying in that area and along that road, along Cairn Street, Central Street, are being made aware as to what is being done. So we just wanted to inform the public as to that.
The explanation prompted a call from the East Side Bus Association's Secretary-Treasurer, Vinshaw Mangra.
Yes, sir. I'm not happy right now hearing that you just said that the normal operation will continue and the fact that work will be done on the East Bus Terminal.
Yes, sir.
We was informed last week Monday when we had a protest that the East Bus Terminal would go through some work on today, starting from today.
Yes, sir.
And we would be located somewhere else that is safe and convenient enough for everybody. But now I've just heard you said that the service is going to still continue from the East Bus Terminal.
Yes, that's correct. That's the information that I have.
We are not happy about that, sir, because of the fact that you're going to use the parking lot. How are you going to determine which is Sadler's bus, which is East bus? How are you going to formulate that area in terms of the fact that the two set of buses is going to be inside here? How are you going to determine who come first, who's going to go first? I mean, we are not happy with the fact that it's such a late notice in terms of you're going to continue operating from here. And there's no structure in terms of saying how you're gonna do it, how the bus is gonna line, whatever the system gonna be. We don't have any information about that. So I think the police need to back up and get this thing sorted out, because as a part of the East Bus Association, we don't have any information as to how we're gonna go ahead doing this thing from today. And we are not happy. From since last week Monday to this week Monday, and nothing has been done in terms of structure-wise, how you're going to do it. And then we find out now that we got to operate from inside there with construction going on, concrete going to be cutting, dust going to be blowing. It's not right.
More on this story in later newscasts. In news from Nevis, the Solid Waste Management Authority Amendment Bill 2021 is to be introduced for the first reading on Tuesday, March 23rd, when the Nevis Island Assembly sits at Hamilton House in Charlestown from 10 a.m. The second and third readings of the Nevis Trust Cooperative Service Providers Bill 2021 is also scheduled on the order paper. The sitting will also include messages from the Governor General and the President of the Nevis Island Assembly, statements by ministers, and public business before adjournment. 2.1 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water services. 4.5 billion people lack safely managed sanitation services. Water scarcity already affects 4 out of every 10 people. 90% of all natural disasters are water-related. 80% of water waste flows back into the ecosystem without being treated or reused. Facts and figures shared by the World Health Organization and UNICEF. March 22nd, we commemorate the 28th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of a resolution by which March 22nd of each year was declared World Water Day. World Water Day celebrates water and raises awareness of the 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water. It is about taking action to tackle the global water crisis. A core focus of World Water Day is to support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030. Without continued action and awareness, by 2050, up to 5.7 billion people could be living in areas where water is scarce for at least 1 month a year, and the development of a climate-resistant water supply and sanitation could save the lives of more than 360,000 infants every year. The 2021 theme for World Water Day is the value of water, its true value, and how we can better protect this vital resource. The United Nations describes the value of water as much more than its monetary value. Water has enormous and complex value for our households, culture, health, education, economics, and the integrity of our natural environment. If we overlook any of these values, we risk mismanaging this finite, irreplaceable resource. What does water mean to you?
Humans, animals, plants all depend on water.
Water to me, well, it's everything.
It's our food, our energy, and even the clothes that we wear.
Water to me is a scarce resource. We need to use new technologies for rational use and water conservation.
We need to recycle used water to reduce water scarcity.
Water is fundamental to grow and produce our food.
We need to produce more with less water.
Water to me is fun. I like to play and swim in the water.
Water to me means sustainability. It keeps life on our planet in balance.
We need to keep the water clean to have a healthy life.
Water to me is a human right.
In my region, people struggle to get water.
We need to distribute water evenly and make it accessible to everyone.
We need to preserve water for the life of our planet. We have to start now.
We will always need water.
At home, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure will host World Water Month outreach events throughout March to promote public awareness through the dissemination of documentaries, as well as conferences, roundtables, seminars, and expositions related to the conservation and development of water resources. Minister with responsibility for infrastructure Sean Richards, on the occasion of World Water Day, shared the week of activities to commemorate the day.
Every year, the Water Services Department organizes a week of activities to coincide with World Water Day. March 21st, the staff of the Water Services Department and the ministry will be worshiping at the Emmanuel Methodist Church in Sandy Point. On Monday and Tuesday, we invite you to visit us at our main office at Needmos, where we would have a display showcasing some of our behind-the-scenes operations. On Wednesday, we will be at the Independence Square, where we will again be displaying the talent of our staff and providing useful information on how you can conserve water. We will also be relaunching our updated website, www.water.gov.kn, and Facebook page, St Kitts Water Services Department, while giving you the opportunity to update your information in our customer database so that you can receive your bills electronically. We expect to also provide you within a few weeks with the option of online bill payment via our website. Friday is our Customer Appreciation Day. We will have tokens of appreciation for persons who visit us to settle their bills.
Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown says COVID-19 restrictions could be lifted. ABS Antigua has the story.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown says COVID-19 related restrictions could be further relaxed this week. One area of consideration is the hours of curfew. ABS's Jessica Russell reports.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown, speaking on his weekly radio program, says that there may be a further relaxation of COVID-19 regulations.
On the basis that there is no increase within the next week, and by the time we meet next week and there's a further reduction in the amount of active cases, then we look at the possibility of further shortening the curfew.
He says these are the prospective hours if cases of COVID-19 decline.
To go from probably 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. We're trying to get to normalcy as soon as possible. And, it's all dependent on the prevalence of COVID.
Last week, the cabinet decided to once again allow dining at restaurants after they were only allowed to provide takeout for over a month. Jessica Russell, ABS News.
Some of Royal Caribbean Group's cruises will resume sailing in the Caribbean in June with vaccinated adult guests, ending a year-long hiatus brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, reports Reuters news agency. Adventure of the Seas and Celebrity Millennium ships will also have vaccinated crews and accept children under the age of 18 with a negative COVID-19 test, Royal Caribbean International and Celebrity Cruises said on Friday. Adventure of the Seas will homeport in Nassau in the Bahamas, with the itinerary also including stops in Cozumel, Mexico, and Royal Caribbean's own private island. Celebrity Millennium will home spot in Caribbean island St. Martin. Now this statement from Cricket West Indies President Ricky Skerritt. Quote, I note that Mr. Anand Sanasi has publicly stated that he has reported me to the Cricket West Indies Ethics Committee because of my attendance at a meeting with Honorable Charles Ramson of Guyana. Other than through Mr. Sanasi's public announcement, I have not been notified that there is any matter before the Ethics Committee. I also note for the record that just in the last year there have been 2 previous mischievous attempts by Mr. Sanasi's running mate Calvin Hope to accuse me of unethical conduct during my tenure as the Cricket West Indies president. On both occasions, the Ethics Committee found that there was no basis for the Calvin Hope complaints. In this latest baseless tactic, Mr. Sanasi is showing a contemptuous disregard for the established system of the election of a president of Cricket West Indies, just as he has done over many years in Guyana. It is Mr. Sanasi's own disregard for good governance and his disrespect for the judicial system which 7 years ago brought about related government legislation designed to prevent his continued abuse of the Guyana Cricket Board. Even if he has actually complained, such a complaint could not disqualify my nomination for the presidency of Cricket West Indies. This attempt to involve the Ethics Committee in petty politics further highlights my concern that Sanasi's only plan for West Indies cricket is to get power over it by any means whatsoever. That was a statement from Cricket West Indies President Ricky Skerritt. We now bring you these international reports. In some vaccination news, Oxford University and AstraZeneca reported on Monday that their coronavirus vaccine for the world was safe and 79% effective overall, according to data from a long-awaited clinical trial in the United States, alongside some studies in Chile and Peru, according to an article in the Washington Post Monday. The Post reports that the 2-shot regime was completely effective at preventing severe cases of illness. In a news release, the Oxford researchers who developed the easily transported $4 shot for the British-Swedish pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca said their coronavirus vaccine is safe and highly effective, adding to previous trial data from the United Kingdom, Brazil, and South Africa, as well as real-world impact data from the United Kingdom. An independent monitoring board combed through the data to look for any cases of blood clotting events similar to those that caused the vaccination effort to be suspended in many European countries. While vaccination was started again after a pause, it undermined confidence in the vaccine. The independent board found no suggestion that the vaccine carried an increased risk of clotting. The trials included 32,449 adult participants in all age groups, most of them in the United States. The volunteers received either 2 standard doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine or a placebo at a 4-week interval, the researchers said. The scientists said the data showed the vaccine is 79% effective against symptomatic COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus, and 100% effective against a severe illness. There were 5 cases of severe illness in the trial, all of them in a group that received a placebo. The data looked good, the numbers don't lie, said Anthony S. Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, who said he was briefed on the data on Sunday. This is considerably higher than the Oxford-AstraZeneca trials in Britain last year that showed 62% efficacy.
A place meant to care for people and keep them safe becomes a scene of chaos. The hospital was hit by mortars fired from a Syrian army outpost. Blood-stained survivors were carried out and treated elsewhere. A child and healthcare workers died in the bombardment.
All of the medical staff were shocked. This is the result of targeting this hospital. The civil defense came and cleared the patients who were staying at the hospital, and we evacuated the building of medical staff and the injured.
Al Jazeera correspondent Adham Abu al-Hussam, reporting from the scene, said the hospital is now empty and unfit for purpose.
This hospital provides medical services to more than 10,000 patients every month. The artillery shells fell here early this morning at the main entrance to the hospital.
The hospital is called Mughara, Arabic for cave. It was built underground for better protection against attacks, but it wasn't enough. It's not the first time it's been targeted. In 2018, Al Jazeera visited days after a bombing. The doctors share the facility's location with the UN, hoping to avoid being hit.
It's the fifth incident that happened only this year, and we are only in the first quarter of the year. So somehow it's really, really sad that to see that these health care services have been attacked so many times, despite sharing all these coordinates with the UN, saying that these hospitals should be protected under the international humanitarian law.
Western Aleppo neighbours Idlib province, the last major areas held by rebels. They and vast numbers of civilians are cornered there by President Bashar al-Assad's forces and their allies. The enclave had been put under the protection of a ceasefire signed in March 2020 between Russia and Turkey, but it's continually violated. Those killed have been buried near At-Harab city. More grieving for a country that suffered so much devastation. Laura Burden-Manley, Al Jazeera.
In 3 consecutive elections, Benny Gantz presented the strongest challenge Benjamin Netanyahu had faced in years. The former army chief headed the Blue and White Alliance, helping deny Netanyahu a viable coalition, but failing to form one of his own. His decision last year to split his alliance and break his central campaign promise by joining Netanyahu in government has seen his standing crumble.
We entered the government despite Netanyahu, not for Netanyahu. We entered the government because there was a health, economic and social crisis, one of the biggest Israel has ever seen. And we are not outsiders. All of us are soldiers for this country.
Now he's campaigning for perhaps half a dozen seats on the basis that they can block legislation allowing Netanyahu to escape his corruption trial. Gantz's collapse has left a fragmented field of possible alternatives to Netanyahu. Leading the pack is Yair Lapid, Gantz's former partner in Blue and White, a former finance minister in an earlier Netanyahu government, and now the #1 target of Netanyahu's campaign.
Netanyahu by now, he didn't start this way, by now he's a complete cynic. And he sees this as the tool of diverting us from the things he doesn't want us to talk about.
Lapid has tried to downplay his own prime ministerial ambitions, wary of Netanyahu's attempts to cast the election as a 2-horse race in which Lapid becomes the scary left-winger. Gideon Rahad of the Israel Democracy Institute says a split field makes it more difficult for the prime minister.
Netanyahu would like us to choose between 2 good chocolates, but you have to face many good chocolates, let's say it. And if you think about the voter as a consumer, this is much more problematic for him.
In the unlikely chocolate box of Israeli politics, Naftali Bennett would be found well to the right of the prime minister. He rules out working with Lapid, but leaves the door to joining Netanyahu at least partially open. Not so Gideon Saar.
The painful truth is that Netanyahu prefers his own personal interests over the interests of the country.
His decision to leave Netanyahu's Likud and challenge him from the right at the head of his New Hope party was the big news as the campaign began. But his promised late surge in the polls has failed to happen. For all that's changed in terms of the lineup of challenges, one thing has remained constant throughout this 2-year political crisis. It really is all about Benjamin Netanyahu. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera, West Jerusalem.
You were listening to the WINN FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were World Water Day, the true value of water. Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown says COVID-19 restrictions could be lifted. Internationally, Syrian government forces have fired on a hospital in the rebel-held northwest, killing 6 civilians, including a child. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINN FM headline news. The headline news was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Voices. Before we get into this, the flow of things, let me say good afternoon to my good friend, Mr. Peter Ingunjuri over there at the Development Bank. Good afternoon to you, sir. I know you're normally logged on, so welcome back to the second half of Voices. It's about 18 minutes up to the 1 o'clock hour. We're here until 1:30, so we got less than an hour to wrap things up. So, Ras, you were telling me that earlier that you met Dr. Sobi.
Dr. Sebi.
Dr. Sebi. Yeah. And you had you were one of his patients, his clients, etc. We're going to talk about that, but you have a clip to play?
Yeah, we have another clip to play, so let the brethren drop the clip and then we're going to come back.
And entertain calls and talk about your interview with Dr. Sobi.
Governments provided billions to pharma corporations to create COVID-19 vaccines because of World Trade Organization rules. Where and how much vaccine is produced around the world is determined solely by the pharmaceutical firms. Today, 100 nations led by India and South Africa are proposing a temporary emergency waiver of these WTO rules, the TRIP rules. If these waivers go through, governments and manufacturers worldwide would be able to ramp up production of the vaccines and other treatments necessary to end this global pandemic. Here to discuss this issue and the role America plays, Lori Wallach. Lori is the director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch, a 25-year veteran of congressional trade battles, starting with the 1990s fight over NAFTA. She was also named to Politico's 50 list of thinkers, doers, and visionaries transforming American politics for her leadership in the Trans-Pacific Partnership debate. Lori, we thank you forever for that. That seems to have worked out. Thanks. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Lori, can we start with, could you please explain the TRIPS waiver and what is the situation they are aimed at correcting?
So the World Trade Organization is called a trade agreement, but it includes rules that shouldn't be in any trade agreement, including protectionist monopolies for big pharmaceutical corporations. The WTO's TRIPS agreement, the trade-related aspects of intellectual property, requires all 158 signatory countries to the WTO to guarantee that the pharmaceutical corporations have long monopoly control over the information technology formulas related to making medicines. And so South Africa and India, with 100 other countries behind them, are saying, hey, in the middle of this global pandemic, let's waive those monopoly protections to make sure that every place all over the world we can have the most vaccines, treatments, and testing, diagnostic testing for COVID being produced, so that particularly given governments have invested literally tens of billions in creating the vaccines, the companies didn't put their money up, they had no risk, then that information should be shared so we can try and beat COVID. Because, Juliana, here's the reality. If there are outbreaks any place in the world, then there will be mutations, and eventually there will be a variant that will get around the vaccines we've had. So the US, the EU can be 100% vaccinated in 2021. And at the rate we're on, most of the world will not be vaccinated for 4 years.
Lori, why don't the pharmaceutical industries, who would obviously profit financially from ramping up production and spreading it far and wide to every corner of the globe, why would they not want to do that? Why are they holding back?
So their business model is to basically get profits from the parts of the world and the customers that can pay a sizable amount for the vaccines. So their focus isn't on getting it everywhere. Their focus is on maximizing the profits. So they know that for the least developing countries who are not supposed to get any vaccines under this current model until 2024, they know that they will not be getting a lot of money out of those sales. So they just are happy to let those people die. I mean, I'm being crass, but the reality is that if there is a 4-year lag in the whole world getting vaccinated, the vaccines that we may get this year will probably not be effective against whatever is the dominant variant that will be going around with the mutations at that point. So as well as being a moral issue, it's in our interest
Well, it's not in the pharmaceutical company's interest, though, Lori, because once the next variant comes to town, they can create a new vaccine that everyone in America has to get and everyone in the rich developed countries has to get. That's how can we make this hurt them financially so that they'll be willing to do it?
Well, the bottom line is the decision about whether or not those rules that the WTO are going to apply is 100% on governments. So frankly, screw the pharmaceutical companies. This is a global economic and health emergency for people around the world. All the governments need to step up and actually do this waiver. It's the first key step to getting more production worldwide.
Ras Kalonji, that to me was more informative than the first clip you played in terms of giving direct information as to the game plan of Big Pharma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we come to the fact that the vaccine is a demand globally, and who have the control mechanism? Fine. But we were speaking primarily today to. Okay, let's take this call. Let's see what happens. Caller, live on Voices.
Hi, the King. Good afternoon.
How is you? Good afternoon.
I'm giving thanks, yes. And good afternoon to you. Special guest, yeah.
Ras, yes.
Yeah, blessed love.
It's always a pleasure. Keep doing your duty as a human being to your fellow human beings. Those in Radio Land, not just in St Kitts and Nevis, but wider field. The King, Kalonji played the interviews with Dr. Sebi, and I just couldn't resist of the point Dr. Sebi was driving home, that he is an African. Why would that matter? Because it seems like in the spheres of science and, coming up with stuff like vaccines and the like, the model seems like it is focused elsewhere, and then it is entrusted on people. And we know around the world, I like to use the analogy of a polar bear, and Dr. Sebi used it too, a polar bear and a gorilla. The ingestion, what they intake, like Dr. Sebi made the point about the carbon-based diet. But he keeps stressing that he's an African. Was that really relevant? And also, he also said something which is very relevant, that the type of diet we should take, he really stressed on, the starchy food and that sort of stuff, and more alkaline diet that we should ingest as opposed to the acidic, which would help our immune system. I mean, we do have concerns because naturally our elders have passed, our ancestors have passed with a vast array of knowledge when it comes to the herbal aspect of it. And we might have concern as to the dosage of what herb to use. But we have been doing it. And there are dosages that one cannot get from Dr. Sebi and others. And so we need not to fear these things. The overall good is for us. Because when we take our medications from the pharmaceutical companies, we digest it with pleasure. With all of the...
Is what we've gone to trust.
From.
Is what we don't go to trust.
With all of it.
Against what we no longer know.
Has been extracted from. Pardon me?
It's what we've grown to trust against what we no longer know. You mentioned the fact that our ancestors would have passed on and taken that knowledge with them. Migration also affected the fact that in traveling outside of St Kitts and Nevis, we're talking about back from the 50s, 60s, 70s, we would have assimilated into other societies, adopted how they dealt with certain ailments. Back in the day here in St Kitts and Nevis, your grandparents or parents knew what bush to give you for, like fever bush, for backache, to sop your knees, stuff like that. We knew that. So we no longer have that information today.
Yeah, the King, yes. To some extent, but I disagree with we don't have it totally, because we are, considering the Caribbean melting pot. Look here. Now, there are certain, you say the fever bush, what we know as the lemongrass here. The Jamaicans would say fever bush. The Latinos are here. And they point and they specifically know, because we have so much mineral herbs here on island, that what is being wasted in the wastelands, the Latinos will recognize. So what has somewhat died out amongst us, the English-speaking folk, might have survived within the Latin, culture or the French culture, and we can extrapolate and do these things. There are people who should be dedicated to these things and bring these things to fore, just like anything else, for the benefit of all, because we have one thing in common. We are carbon-based people. And that should be the model for everything else, because when Dr. Sebi was asked, he said it's more persons of the Caucasian that are his patients. So that means that the method, the formula, the carbon-based formula, applied to others also.
Correct.
As opposed to the reverse, where they're pricing these things on us that might have applied to them, but when it's invested in us because we're carbon-based, it has affected us severely. And that is proven. Talk about autism and all these things, because what they're using is not the carbon mineral from the herbs. They're using minerals in the industrial area, and they want to simulate that, and it's not the same.
It's synthetic.
Yes, it's not the same. A gold that is gold in that hard particle, and as opposed to a gold that the trees has taken up within the roots, is different. But yet the gold is there. So it was not simulated in the form that nature dictates. And so it cannot simulate with us. And that is the difference with us being Africans. We have studied these things for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We have laid the blueprint for all of humanity to enjoy. Now come the adversary, wants to reverse all the gains of our ancestors and for human benefit. And we must be like lambs to slaughter. We must be like lab rats waiting in line with all the intelligent people. Dr. Sebi said he did not go to school. He did not go to school as opposed to what we know education is. Better yet, miseducation. He did not, yet he was gifted enough. Somewhere along his bloodline, the herbal rights, that was his gift. We all have many, many gifts that is within us so that we can help humanity along the way. And they want to take it from us. It is not going to happen. We will continue to be the voice for the voiceless. And those who should be saved will be saved.
Okay, appreciate your contribution.
Matter that is growing. Very, very subtle matter. It pertains to Professor Hilary Beckles, but I shall speak on it another time.
Much appreciated.
It's about the bottom line reparations and the commerce people amongst and the hierarchy elsewhere doesn't like it. If I am a president and there's a vice president that's doing a tremendous work, why should I concern? At the end of the day, we are getting paid, and we know that kudos, man. You have done so much. No, it wants to be like a takeover, a morph. You know what I mean? In so many other words.
Okay, I forgot.
Like,
take a next minute to wrap up, please, because we have other person trying to get in.
That's it for me.
That's fair. Hey, thanks for your contribution.
But the carbon base, the less, like starch and all of that thing, is good for the diet. So alkalinity is the way to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not
Appreciate
saying that you should not take the vaccine. That's their whose prerogative. Hey, may God be with everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yes, sir. Peace to you. Ras.
Yes. You was asking me before about Dr. Sebi.
Mhm.
You know what all Africa said is so true, that we have to deal with alkalinity instead of acidity, and that's the basic premise of Dr. Sebi, is that when we use a lot of foods that is acidic, it causes our body to get disease. But what he's saying basically is that we have to use foods that are more alkaline. And if you want me to name
You got a list there, yeah. I want to go into
Yeah.
the list of things that
The
some
veg-
we know by name, some we don't know. They're
Yeah.
by different names, so.
in terms of vegetables, what we should use. He said amaranth greens, basically we know it as callaloo or hog meat.
You call it hog meat, the
hog
parsley.
meat.
Back in the
Spinach.
yeah, we used to give it to our pigs.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Avocado.
By the way, is that what they call collard greens in the U.S.?
No, collard greens, I think they call it pork salads or something like that. I'm going to name it. It's here. It's here. Avocado, bell peppers, coyote Mexican squash. That's what I call it. Cucumbers, dandelion greens, garbanzo beans, meaning what we call chickpeas.
Okay.
All right? Green bananas, isoti, cactus flower leaf, grow naturally. We have it here. The cactus, what Rastaman used to use to wash the locks.
Yes, well, okay. In Antigua, they call it cassie, right?
Yeah, cassie.
Right, they cook with fungi.
Exactly.
I saw my grandmother using that to wash her hair.
Uh-huh.
She had a full growth of hair. Whatever the chemical component in that thing, it gave her a rich lather. I saw her use that to wash her hair.
That's what the Rastaman used back in the day to wash the locks.
Right.
But, you know, it's very good internally, especially for people who have diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Kale. You know kale.
I buy kale.
Yeah, lettuce. Except iceberg lettuce.
Except
Yeah.
iceberg. Don't buy
lettuce,
I won't
but
say
not
don't buy
iceberg.
because- all right.
Yeah, that is not natural. It is created in the sense that lettuce itself is natural. Because we're dealing with natural based products, our food. Right? Mushrooms, all except shiitake ones, right? The mushroom is very, very nutritious.
One is poisonous. If you don't know what you're doing, you can actually.
Yeah, but
pick
that's,
one
you see, you got to know the difference.
Yes.
You have to know the difference.
I don't think we're too versed when it comes to mushrooms. We actually buy them, but to go in the woods as we used to as kids and see them.
Yeah.
We used to call them John umbrella.
Exactly.
And just, you know,
Exactly. Nopals, Mexican. It's the same thing, cactus, okra, olives, onions. We call pork salad. You're talking about the greens, what we call cali greens.
Mhm.
Okay? Puzzling, vodolanga.
You talking French there?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know about that one. No, we come to the vegetables in the sea.
Mhm.
Sea vegetables, you got wakamani, dulse, arami.
You have any local name for those?
Yeah, we got the local. You got simas, which is a sea vegetable.
Yes.
You have there's another one. I can't remember the name, but we have them all here.
Mhm.
We have them all here. You have squash, tomato, cherry, and plum only, not the big ones. The tomatoes, the cherry, and plum only. Tomatillo, turnip greens, watercress, and zucchini. Now, those are the vegetables that you could use. Now we come to the fruits. No kind of seedless fruits. Apples, bananas. The small ones are the Buru, mid-sized original bananas. Berries, all varieties. Elderberries in any form. No cranberries. Cantaloupe, cherries, currants, dates, figs, grapes seeded. The grapes is the seeded ones. We have a caller, so we
Let's pause for a call. Caller, your live on voices. Caller, good day, your live on voices. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Not bad. Good afternoon, Kalonji.
Yeah, blessed good
Good day,
afternoon,
voice
my
every
brother.
time.
Good afternoon to all the listeners. Socrates for a long time in the house in the morning for one very, very long time. So I'm here when you shout me up.
Beautiful.
Thank you for your shout up.
Every time.
Yeah. Make a quick today. While while me agree, so you see that we can agree to, right? While me agree with Kalonji to the pertaining of the money making point of view.
Yeah.
Why the disease bigger than that? That only just secondary. The disease into place, shape laws into place. To the one world order. You see, don't start to talk about vaccine passports.
Yep.
Exactly. Because I'm gonna be the devil world, and you're either with me or you're against me. You can't function in mine world, and you're not with me. You get the point? It's plain, you know. Plain as
It's in Revelations.
Huh?
It was foretold in Revelations, whether you accept it or not.
Exactly. So, come now, disease farm, and you see, you get everybody to comply. And you see what even Revelation 16 tell you, state are going to rule church, and just check.
It's happening.
Church bow to state or anything the state said, none of preacher man don't even stand up. You don't know this?
You're right.
Because of death. You see? Death. No, you're dealing with a spirit where got millions of years experience. You know exactly what to do. You get me? And with the first caller, Socrates, come on, man. You're supposed to sharper than that. You should have tell your first caller, remember, the vice president black.
She is, and they say it's the first female president. Now, so you find when he mentioned that she was called by Kamala Harris, I thought that was a compliment because she's the first black president.
No,
female.
No. Let me tell you, when them fellas ready for carry out them plan, black and white no count.
They have the replacement already.
You get that?
I did comment. I did promise to comment on the first caller.
But I will get that. Let's be off here. Okay.
Always solid points he makes. Yes, I did plan to make a comment on the first caller where you spoke about the call that she got from Kamala Harris, Vice President, to her, and saying, no, America is ready to deal with you. I want to get into that at some point before we come to the...
But you could deal with it now.
Well, you're going to this.
Okay, all right, yeah. Let me get back to the foods that you could use. I'm going over again because through the caller. Apples, bananas, the smallest ones are the boom, mid-size original bananas. Berries of all varieties. Elderberries in any farm, no cranberries. Cantaloupe, cherries.
You said no cranberries?
No cranberries.
Okay.
Cantaloupe, cherries, currants, dates, figs, grapes, seeded ones, not the unseeded ones. Limes, key limes preferred with seeds. Mango. Melons, watermelons, orange. Sour orange preferred. We call it sour orange.
Yeah. Some says orange.
Yeah, we call it orange.
Mm-hmm.
Papayas, peaches, pears, plums, prickly pear, the cactus fruit again, prunes, raisins, seeded, soft jelly coconut, soursop, tamarind, right? Those are the fruits. Now herbal teas, allspice, anise, burdock, chamomile, elderberry, fennel, ginger, raspberry, and tilla. Spices and seasoning, mild flavors, basil, bay leaf, clove, dill, oregano, parsley, savory and sweet basil, and pungent and spicy flavor. Achiote, cayenne, African bird pepper, what we call bird peppers here. Coriander, caliandro, I think that's the Spanish term. Habanero and onion powder.
Okay.
That is the list.
And this was done by compiled by Dr. Sebi?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's what. We owe our sponsor the word of acknowledgement, so we're going to pause for that, and then we get back into the last 20 minutes or so of a program.
Okay.
Make it exciting.
When we come back, we'll just play a clip by Dr.
Another
Sebi.
clip?
Yeah, just a little bit.
We got some stuff to get?
No problem. It's just a little clip.
Word from the sponsor.
Okay.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
Okay, Ras, the list that you just read, you said it was compiled by Dr. Sebi. You also mentioned to me off air you had an encounter with him. You want to talk us to that?
Yeah, well, basically, when I was in New York, Dr. Sebi said that he could cure all these diseases. So at one particular time, I was sick, and I went to him, and, I consulted him, and he gave me a rundown of different compounds that he makes to cleanse your system.
So you actually met the man, sat with him, spoke with him?
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of the main important things that he spoke about, that we have right here, that could really boost our immune system. And you don't even have to eat any food. It's CMAS.
CMAS.
Once you use CMAS, it has all the ingredients that your body needs to sustain life. 99.9% of all the minerals and vitamins that you need.
Was that identified on the list that you read?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's part of the vegetables from the sea.
We mentioned Dr. Whitaker's book that deals with a lot of that, these herbal remedies, etc. I think we need to go back to that in some way or form because a lot of the names that we knew then, we don't know. The names have changed and that we lost quite a bit of that knowledge. But you said the book he has not only identifies the various plant life, their medicinal value, but call them in their local terminology plus their scientific names?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it's very good. The book, you have the scientific name, what they use internationally, and the local name and what they're used for.
And it's by Dr.
Whitaker.
And it can be had where?
I bought mine at the museum.
At the museum?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get me a copy because I need to, because my I tell you, well, I'm diabetic for the past 16 years, etc., etc. So I need to find out how to reverse that.
Baby, like I said, Dr. Sebi have the remedy.
Okay, let's entertain this caller. Caller, you're live on Voices. Hello, caller, you're live on Voices. We want to miss a caller. Okay. So, yes, these that you highlighted would serve to boost our immune system, which would act as an armor against the various viruses that goes around during the flu season and the now COVID thing. So we're not saying don't take the vaccination. We're saying if it's about boosting your immune system, we need to go back to these homeopathic remedies and inform ourselves and use them.
Exactly. What we're saying, we have all the herbs that is necessary to cure any disease here. It's just a matter now that we know got to develop this thing, a system of identifying the herbs and use them for any ailments that we have because they're here. But like I said, the CMAS is very important, and I make the CMAS and sell it to people. I call it the Super Booster Energizer Tonic.
We're not giving us a free plug. We're just talking about what's a free plug.
You understand? So I'm saying to our people, have no fear. There's an alternative view. If you want to take the vaccine, it's up to you. But we are saying, based on the experience that people have had, especially with the Tuskegee experiment, is that
there's mistrust.
Yeah. We are. Okay, go ahead.
But I think we can say that about 95% of the Federation did trust the government's approach in combating the ravages of COVID-19 in terms of the protocols put in place. We've trusted health persons, Dr. Laws, Dr. Wilkinson. We follow them diligently. And now we come to the part where they're advising, giving you a lot of information as to why you should take the vaccine. We're looking at the economy, trying to open up the economy by a certain time. Would be contingent on herd immunity, about 70% of the population being vaccinated. Let's take this call. Call your live on Voices.
Hi, good afternoon, King. Good afternoon, Kalonji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, brother.
Well, thank you for the program.
Appreciate it.
I guess I must first say that I know enough to know that I don't know enough. And one of the things that I do know is that since I'm growing up, I've been drinking bush tea and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that one of the biggest problems we do have, we don't know the proportion as to how much ounces, what is the measurement, what will work, and we just hit and guess and hit and miss. I guess we could say the same thing for the medical fraternity also, because all human body, even though the structure is similar, they are different, and they carry certain doses based on per pound and per stature, per weight for some individuals. And it's not so much one size fit all. So we have to look at these situations in the context of which they are. So I say that to say this, until we know exactly the direction of which we are going and the projection, then to talk about these is just another talk to me. Yes, they're there, but how do you use them? How does they apply? Is it that our people have been doing researches on them and presenting them? You said that there's a doctor that says certain things.
Dr. Whitaker.
I take his word. Huh?
Dr. Whitaker.
Dr. Whitaker said this, but where? What is his website? What is the proportion? How do you take what for what? What does recommend for what?
Now the book, I'm going to send you down to the museum to get the book, Wasi. It's there.
Okay, so I don't mind reading at it because...
Right, because there's...
It's interesting to look, but while you're there, for those who don't go on the internet, for those who don't surf, and those who don't read that much, how much can you point them to the direction whereas that these things are available? That they could have access for dosage, per pound, per ounce, per feet, per measurement, per yard, whichever it is. Tell us.
I don't know if there any literature that has it mapped down to a science. We were saying that we trusted our elders, our parents, grandparents when we were younger, and they will be able to recommend these things. So it's not that this is scientifically documented that this proportion, this volume have to have this specific cure. Generally, we went to general knowledge. What we say we need to, as best we can, go back to what's been recorded via Dr. Whitaker's book. There are lots of other herbalists here who are offering information, not in a scientific manner, but at least generally, this is good for you, that is good for you. You know about fever bush, you know, jump up and kiss me, those stuff that you heard about them. You say you drink bush from since a child.
Strongman bush.
Strongman bush, stuff like that.
In Jamaica, they call it guinea hen weed. It's good for cancer.
Yes, I understand that. I take it in that way because those things are still there, and we still have access to the plants. Even the marijuana and all of those, they're still there. Yes, we know. But if you were saying and painting a broad brush by saying that these are things that we could use, but you on your own when you step out there and take so much, and then you could say, well, what might work for you because this have worked for me, I have worked for individuals. But we are talking to people who never had, I mean, they get a tea out of a bag, a tea bag, but
yes,
they could walk out in the yard and pick up a bush and dry it and drink the tea. They don't know anything. So if you could tell them, and I might learn something from you, or you might learn something from me. That is what it's all about, educating each other based on the things that we know. So in my view, I think we need more. Maybe I'm yearning for more than what I expect you to put.
I ask you to come on the program. You can come and tell me what bush you drink when you were a child. Huh?
Talk to you, King. Have a good day.
It's all about bringing awareness the best way we can.
That's what we're talking
and
about.
And if you can refer to where you can find a book or some literature on the topic, we will give you that information. But we're not here to say, okay, We used to take these remedies, herbal remedies, and you should stop and take this. We're not giving you that. We're not going on any particular platform. We're saying if it's about boosting your immune system, these things work in the past, and we can go back to them because migration and other reasons why we've moved away from them. Okay? We know people's chemistry is different. I have a niece, she couldn't stand the scent of eggs. A morning time we're making breakfast, and if she just got the faintest whiff of eggs, she would, her stomach would be upset. So people's chemistry changes and they adapt to certain things. There's some people could use smoke, what we say, weed, and it doesn't affect them in the same manner it affects others.
Exactly.
But the fact is, herbal remedies were there in the past, going back to Egypt, to Africa, etc. They were being used, and we can go back to them if we can. Call 11 Voices. Mr. Call, so. Yes, the first caller spoke to the comments made by VP U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to the now President of Tanzania after the passing of Dr. Magufuli. And she says that now the U.S. can ready to deal with you or work with you. That's a point of statement. I will get back to that. Call 11 Voices.
Sorry to leave you so prematurely, King and Kalonji.
That's something that
I am one who always believe in one ounce of prevention is better than many pounds of cure. And my thinking is that I love the doctors, but I hate the medicine. Because as long as when the medicine gets in your system, it's in. And I don't know, and I'm not sure how you will be able to relieve yourself of it. And sometimes it cures one thing, but it causes problem to another thing.
Tell me about it.
You try to fix one, and it damages the other, and you're in a more critical position than you were before you had the medicine in you.
Quite so.
So we know that. Because you know what? I have a body too, so do you. And so I say that to say this. If we could go about finding the measures to prevent certain things, to build our immune system, to put up a defense, and have a better fight in defending our territory in terms of keeping the body that we have in shape and in a healthy way. And when we see the doctor on the street, we could say, hello, doc, how are you? Rather than wondering if you're going to push a needle in us, write a prescription for a tablet that was made in a lab. And so therefore, one of the things is that I would say, go for vitamin C. What gives you the most vitamin C? How much vitamin C you get out of a guava versus an orange? Far more. One guava. Just take away the seed and from the guts and put the skin back to the guava, and you have a nice down-pack vitamin C with fiber. That helps the body.
So you know that to be a fact?
It's a fact.
Okay. So now you bring information. Now you share information that we will need.
It keeps your skin clean. It keeps you healthy. It keeps your energy level up. And not only guava, other fruits. And those are the things that I like to hear people present because they're factual. They happen.
Okay.
And
we're
something
learning.
that keep away flu.
Each one teach one.
Vitamin C up because you consume vitamin C every day. And it's only lasting in your system for 24 hours. After that, then you need to replenish. You need to get these vitamins and minerals in your food. If not, you take them by supplement. Some people offer you supplement and there's nothing in the tablet. But you're paying for it. But if you get it directly from the fruit that does have it, then you're sure you have it.
So tell me this now. What do you know about the medicinal value of the noni?
The noni, to me, when I look at the noni, it's such an ugly fruit, I say nothing that could be good.
So you don't eat noni?
That is my view. That is my view.
So you don't eat noni?
I never tried it. And to me, it doesn't smell so good, and it don't look good, so I never tried it.
So you don't... Here, I want to hear what you said. I am Wasi, I don't eat noni. That's what you're saying?
Anyway, I never tried it. But you can tell me, I will listen to you.
Wasi saying that he never, ever eat noni, right? That's what you're saying?
I was speaking about the food.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I never tried it, But I will always listen to you, and I always will be guided accordingly. All things are not lawful, but all things are expedient. So I don't have to eat everything.
You talk to me about the guava, but you can't talk about the noonie. Okay. I hear you.
I will give you one point that I really know, and banana is good. Soursop is good. And some of the things Kalonji mentioned, papaya and so on are very good. But as how you take them in measure, so much of one thing always good for nothing. And like you don't try to fix one thing and damage the other thing. So
correct.
Your body only lasts only a short time, and you have to keep it healthy as long and as much as possible. And if you exercise and good sunshine, then you will keep the cells in your bloodstream alive for a longer period. Rather than
looking as fit as you do.
Cells. So you're good to go. Remember, you only have 25 feet of colon, 20 feet. 5 feet of colon in your system. So once you go to your digestive system to go down to your stool, whenever you get it out of your body, because your intake and your output, your intake versus your output. So
you're talking about the plumbing, just basic plumbing. Got you covered.
Basic plumbing, yes. And don't forget your attitude is one that gives you a good altitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. And your posture, how you take things and how you let things pass. You cannot hit every ball that bowls at you. You have to let some go. You have to make sure that you don't get angry too easily.
Now, we do
because
philosophy.
all of those could rise up your blood sugar and pressure and all of that stress level. So things are changing and things are getting more and more expensive. I see gasoline going out of reach of the poor man. So I'm not sure. We got to cut down the way we drive and how far we go, because price of gasoline is going up so fast, it's going crazy. The more they try to fix bars there, the more it become cumbersome, more difficult to travel in. So instead of utilizing our roundabouts, we're putting in traffic lights and lots of different things. We're doing things, but, at least the more we go around,
I
the more we come
long
back
for the
around
day
doing
when
the
you're
same
going to
thing.
come in and sit with me or sit with us and we have a nice chat because you have lots to share. We got about 5 minutes.
Men should not sit down too long. It's bad for his position. He should walk a lot.
You can stand up, that's not a problem. Right? We got about 6 minutes to wrap things up today.
Kalonji. Have a good evening.
Yeah,
Okay.
appreciate your call and your contribution. Right, so he knows some bush, he know about the guava, he don't know about the noonie. Anyway, last we got about 6 minutes. So
you wasn't going to finish while you was talking about Kamala Harris?
yes, the comment you made about she saying to the new president, who happens to be a female, that now we, and I would assume we being the Americans, are ready to deal with you or to work with you. That's pointed statement, because there has been the consensus that the gentleman was not cooperating with some of the policies that the bigger countries are pushing on this country, and he was like objecting to them, and in that he was taken out. There's a mystery around his death. Some are saying he was poisoned, some say it's a heart attack, some say it was COVID, etc. Nothing definitive, and that is the consensus. So to say that now we're ready to work with you is rather sinister, but that's a different story when we have more time.
Yeah, but you see, I don't like to deal with that. I want to get hard facts. But anyhow, he sent some tests to be tested for COVID. One of them was, I think, some oil and a papaya, and they came back positive.
Let me follow you. You say he sent some
things to be tested for COVID.
Dr. Magafoli sent some things. One was Mr. Papaya.
I think it was oil and a papaya, and they came back positive.
I don't follow you. Send a papaya to be tested for COVID.
Yeah. What I'm saying, they send the tests to to be tested for COVID. He sent them to be tested, and they came back said it was positive.
You said papaya and oil.
Yeah.
How do you send a papaya to be tested?
Well, he's a scientist. He knew how to deal with these things. And the test came back positive. I have it, but anyhow, it's closing time.
Yes.
Right? And I just want to end by telling our people that, we have to develop our own remedies and our own whatever to deal with what is coming in the new dispensation in terms of viruses and diseases. So I'm challenging our people now that from here on in, we have to start to deal with what our environment in terms of gathering the herbs and different things that we need to deal with what is coming, because you said, like the brother from Mountstrat said, is deeper than just making money. You understand? So some people like to use the Bible, but I like to use secular knowledge to prove my point. And here is one of them by Henry Kissinger. A speech to the World Health Organization Council on Eugenics, February 25th, 2009. Once the herd accepts mandatory forcible vaccination, it's game over. They will accept anything, forcible blood or organ donations, for the greater good. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. Vaccine makers stand to make billions, and many of you in this room today are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for providing extermination services. That's a speech by
Henry Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger to the World Health. Henry Kissinger, a speech to the World Health Organization Council on Eugenics, February 25th, 2009. And I'll end there by saying what Granny said, natural healing is the best solution to all the pollution. Give thanks. One love.
Okay. Got a text here from, I don't mind me calling him name, Jamster saying that, let me see what it says. Come on. Yeah, Magufuli was an industrial chemist by nature. And he says Kalonji is on point. LOL. Well, at least he giving you.
What I was talking about, what he sent to be tested.
Okay, well, I didn't quite get, because you say he sent papaya?
Papaya and some motor oil or something.
And they came back negative.
They came back positive?
Positive.
Yeah.
I don't quite
when
grasp
the
it.
test was done.
But the thing is, what I want to leave our people with is find out, research, whatever, however you can, the things that you need to boost your immune system, because that is one way of combating and staying healthy in this current environment. We're hearing about not only COVID-19, but the many variants that are out there. So the question is, having taken a vaccine for COVID-19 right now, and the other variants, etc., one of the questions that Dr. Loss fielded is that how much coverage can we get? I'm trying to find the word. If I'm taking this vaccine now, what if a variant shows up? She says, based on the science, the information, this vaccination can cover. But you're hearing daily new variants, different strains, etc. So I think in the interim, what we can do is our very best to try to boost and maintain our immune system by taking these, what we can call natural remedies.
Not only that, like I told you about the Super Booster Energy, Shashamane Super Booster Energizer Tonic. That's the main core of it is from the CMAS, and it boosts your immune system, and it have all the ingredients and vitamins that people talk about to sustain life. Because once your body have energy, it's our. You don't even have to eat any food once you use my Super Booster Energizer Tonic.
So you expect to see Ross done by you?
Exactly.
Very informative, and of course, Jam says say you're actually on point.
I know I'm on point. I don't say nothing unless I have the evidence.
You come with a bag of documents, etc. And sometimes some of the tapes that you play sometimes extends the program, so we don't get a chance to really speak to some of the issues you raised. But that
but
list you read from Dr. Sobi is very, very thing, because I read about him. I was directed to his work some years ago. I've been following, and sadly he died on the suspicious means, but that's how it is. In the meantime, we got about 40 seconds before we wrap up today. I want to say thanks to all our callers, those who made the contribution, those sent by text, etc. We appreciate you on the program next Monday.
But Brother Socrates, the reason why I play the tapes so that people could understand basically or understand what is actually happening. That's why you see the tapes are very important, because they're going to say, well, where you get that from? The evidence is there. It's all around us.
I think it serves as a reminder, because I think globally a lot of folks do know or they would have heard, but they don't really, pay attention to it. So it's a reminder. So I want to thank you for what you're doing in terms of educating our people on the various platforms, things we need to know. But the message today is to do what we can to boost our immune system.
And don't forget, the pharmaceutical What we're dealing with here is pharmaceutical and medical industrial fascism.
Okay. Those are big words to leave us at the end of the program. Until next Monday for another episode of Voices, my name is Socrates. It's been a pleasure. I want to wish you peace, love, and a much, much better tomorrow.